So Nikki Haley, according to most of the polls, actually, either won the Republican debate the other day or came in second. The people who seem to have gotten the biggest bump and the best numbers coming off the debate are DeSantis and Nikki Haley. The polls were sort of all over the place with a bunch of the other guys. Well, Burgum and Hutchinson, terrible across the board. But everybody else, it's debatable. Tim Scott probably did bad as well. But like Pence, Christie, Vivek, they gave like mid performances, and some polls have them up, some polls have them down. Well, now Nikki Haley's getting more attention. I think a lot of the donor money is now going to start going to her as a potential alternative to Trump. But so now she's under the microscope more so, that she's gotten some positive attention and had a good performance. And what people are learning very quickly is she's horrendous. She's really, really bad. Not only is she a neocon when it comes to foreign policy, very hawkish, never met a war she didn't like. But when it comes to domestic policy, she is abysmal. She's a standard Reaganite, cut taxes on the rich, cut taxes on corporations, deregulate, destroy our meager social safety net. So let's listen to what she's arguing for now, and we'll break it down.
Well, you've got multiple candidates on that stage that said they wouldn't touch entitlements, including Trump. And any candidate that says they're not going to touch entitlements means that they're basically going to go into office and then leave America bankrupt. Social Security is going to go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 8.
Quick fact checked, not remotely true. They've been saying this my whole life. They were literally saying it back in the 1990s. Like, oh man, they were going to go bankrupt in a decade, bro. Really? They didn't. They didn't even make changes, and they didn't. We've gone through the numbers specifically on this, and it's actually really interesting. What happens is that over an extended period of time, you will get a slight reduction in the benefits. So, I think it's like Social Security will pay out 80% of its benefits after however many years it is in the future, and that's with no changes. Well, paying out 80% of its benefits is a lot different from, it's gone bankrupt. That's not bankrupt. It's not remotely bankrupt. But by the way, the only thing you have to do to fix it is to lift the cap. So right now, people only get taxed on the first $140,000 a year or so that they make, and everything over that is not taxed at all for Social Security. So if you just lift that cap and tax LeBron James the same percentage that a construction worker pays for Social Security, it's fully funded. It's over. It's done. Simplest solution of all time. But they make it seem like, oh no, it's going away. It's bankrupt, and I'm the truth teller who's saying that we have to change these programs to save them. And by save them, I mean absolutely destroy them and cut benefits even more.
We don't touch anyone's retirement or anyone who's been promised in, but we go to people like my kids in their 20s when they're coming into the system, and we say the rules have changed.
So she has to make the argument. She gives the caveat, well, we're not going to touch it for the people that have it now. Why would you not touch it for the people that have it now? You know why. Because it's a political third rail, and they would despise you if you did that. You would have no prayer in any election ever if you did that. So she, we're not going to do it, but for my kids. So in other words, fuck them kids. Maybe we'll grandfather in the grandparents.
But we go to people like my kids in their 20s when they're coming into the system, and we say the rules have changed. We change retirement age to reflect life expectancy. Instead of cost of living increases, we do it based on inflation. We limit the benefits on the wealthy, and we expand Medicare Advantage plans.
What's the right age there then, Ambassador?
Well, I think we have to do the numbers. We've got to figure out what it is. But what we do know is 65 is way too low, and we need to increase that. We need to do it according to life expectancy.
65 is, quote, way too low to get Social Security and Medicare. It's way too low. In other words, shut the hell up and get back to work. Oh, are you 67 with a chronic illness and you want to be able to not live in poverty? I'm sorry. Go get a job at Home Depot, bitch. That's the point. That's the argument. I'm not going to touch it for people now because then I'd obviously lose the election by 1,000,000 points. But for my kids and for the younger generation, a generation that has already been destroyed and obliterated by an economy that's left us behind because of the older generation's decisions, well, you're going to have to suffer even more. That's what's going to happen. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have nothing saved for retirement? I'm sorry. Does your job pay shit? I'm sorry. Do you have no generational wealth at all? Do you have student loan debt dripping from your eyeballs and coming out of your asshole? I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and kick up your retirement age a little bit. How about that? 65 is, and I quote, way too low. Way too low. Not a little too low. Not a little. Way too low. So what do you want? 70? 75? You want all of us to die before we get any Social Security? Guys, understand something. Social Security is one of the most popular government programs in U.S. history. Social Security and Medicare are up there for that. We took the senior poverty rate from 35% to under 10% because of Social Security. And here she is, casually, willy-nilly. We have to reform it. We have to change it, and by that I mean cut it, and raise the retirement age and screw over people. No, the reason it's called an entitlement is because you are entitled to it. You're paying into it, and then you're going to get out of it, okay? And it's a universal program. If you make it non-universal, all of a sudden it becomes a welfare program, and the numbers go down. Everybody gets Social Security. It should be that way. And I wouldn't cut it. I would expand it. I think we should have Social Security for all. Basically like a UBI check for everybody. Why? Because I've seen the empirical data, and the studies show time and time again, UBI works phenomenally well. People don't take the money and go spend it on alcohol or tobacco or gambling or whatever. And by the way, even if they did in some cases, who cares? The net benefit would be way better. And by the way, the studies have borne this out, that people use that money for necessities. They pay the light bill, they pay the water bill, they pay the rent, etc., food. God, she's the worst. Oh, she's so bad. Look, understand something. All these Republicans, there are some disagreements around Trump. Asa Hutchinson and Chris Christie are more anti-Trump, and they're right on their, hey, a coup is bad take. They're right on that. But on virtually all the other issues, they're almost all in agreement. Trump is the only one who bucks orthodoxy even a little bit by saying, I'm not going to cut Social Security or Medicare. All the other ones want to cut Social Security and Medicare. All the other ones want to keep outsourcing jobs, just like Trump did when he was president, by the way. We lost 200,000 jobs. They all want to keep cutting taxes on the rich. They all want to keep cutting taxes on corporations. They all want to deregulate Wall Street more. They all want to take a sledgehammer to whatever meager social safety net we have right now. It's unconscionable. And then, look, Trump is leading by a mile and a half. You think something like this is going to have a prayer of beating him? Yeah, she had a good debate the other night. But go ahead. Try to stand on stage next to Trump and argue, yeah, grandma and grandpa, shut up and get back to work. You think Trump's going to let that slide? He'll dunk it right in your face. All right, guys, that's the show. I love y'all very much, as always. Thank you, as always, for listening to me babble. You know the drill. You know the shameless plugs. You could basically repeat them with me at this point, but first and foremost, click that sub button, man. We're trying to continue to grow this channel. You know, the algorithm is not all that kind to political channels, so we have to work twice as hard to get half as much in terms of sub growth. A lot of people watch this channel and don't sub. I don't know what you're doing, man. It doesn't cost you anything and helps us out tremendously. So please click that sub button. Please click that bell icon so you get a notification every time a video drops. You could also leave a comment if you want. That helps in the algorithm as well. And yeah, that's all I got for you, man. Much love to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. You guys make it work. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. You guys help build this thing from the ground up. So to support the show on Patreon, the link's below. You could also tip on YouTube with the thanks button. That's greatly appreciated as well. And thank you to everybody who's been doing that. And Substack, man, go on over to Substack and support Crystal Kyle and friends. We're going to have a phenomenal debate coming up this week with a right-wing populist. And I'm really looking forward to it. Smart guy, but needless to say, many disagreements with him. We'll probably flesh all that out. And that's all I got for you, man. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.